taking a look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart, we have had two successful closes below the 200 moving average here, which really isn't a great sign. I was really looking for something like back here where we had a weekly close below and then a weekly close above. As you can see, as of right now, we have not gotten that, and it actually looks like this is going to be somewhat of a red candlestick formation. We're pretty much halfway through the week at this point, and things really aren't looking that great on the smaller time frames. So we could see a move all the way back down to the 17K region, which is sitting at the 2618 here. If we go onto a chart with a little bit more price history, you can see this is pretty much the only time that we hung out around the 200 weekly moving average here back in 2015. So we could be seeing something similar to this, where we close below the 200 weekly for a couple weeks, maybe manage to rally back above it, have a fake out to the downside, and then continue higher. So if we do see something like that happen, we could have a sideways movement forming here for potentially a couple months before we find another move back up. We also have to consider the current global economic situation as well as the economic situation in the United States at the moment. In short, the economic situation is not looking good at all. Pretty much all stocks are tanking. The S&P 500 as well as the NASDAQ are also on a pretty aggressive move to the downside. And you also have to keep in mind that while Bitcoin itself in the cryptocurrency space isn't as risky as some other altcoins, Bitcoin itself is risky in traditional markets. While Bitcoin itself might not be the riskiest of all assets in the traditional markets, it is considered higher risk than, say, the S&P 500, so it generally gets sold off first, or riskier assets generally get sold off first. Now, considering that altcoins are very risky compared to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is very risky compared to traditional stocks, that makes altcoins extremely risky. Really, the only reason I'm saying this about altcoins right now is if you remember back in 2017, or if you were not here in 2017, during this phase right here, this move to the upside, a lot of altcoins spawned in, finally found a top, and then 90% of all the altcoins died. So all these altcoins died back here, and we weren't even really in an impending recession, right? So same thing here. You had all these new altcoins spawn in, all the NFTs, all that crap, and now you're starting to see some of these altcoins die off, such as Luna and Celsius. So with that being said, I'm probably not going to be posting a whole lot of videos frequently on some of these altcoins, mainly because if Bitcoin continues to have moves like this, pretty much all of the alts are going to go with it, if not further. Again, because the altcoins are more speculative than Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is more speculative than the traditional stock market. This isn't to say we won't see some crazy pumps to the upside on some of these altcoins and even Bitcoin. For example, you could see a altcoin say move to one of these fib levels, and this fib level just so happens to be 100% away from this one. For example, on Bitcoin, this is 46% away. But if we have a 46% rally on Bitcoin here and then project and move lower, we're still in a downtrend, right? Even though we moved up 46%, we rejected off of the previous area of support, and we are still in a downtrend. If you don't believe me, just look at the Luna chart when it crashed from $100 to pretty much nothing. On the longer time frames, it was a single candle all the way down to pretty much nothing. But if you look on the smaller time frames, you can see it actually had somewhat of a staircase pattern to the downside. And even during this move to the downside like this, where everyone knew Luna was dying, you still saw 1,000% gains here and there, and even up to, I think, one of the largest ones was like 30,000% or something crazy. But this really only happens because at some point, people stop selling. If you don't have anyone selling, then the price can only go up. And once the people that bought in down here have saw that they have made 1,000% gain, they sell off, and then the destruction continues. So to go on to the technical side of this to kind of figure out where we are right now, we go to the daily chart. You can see we're still pretty far away from the EMA ribbon here. We actually never came up to test it, which just shows weakness in my opinion. You can see back here we did have somewhat of a sideways consolidation move before the EMA ribbon caught up with the price action and pushed it further down. Here you can see we could be seeing something similar. The EMA ribbon comes to push the price further down. Ichimoku cloud is pretty far away from us on the daily, so it's not much of a concern at the moment. If you look here on the 4-hourly chart, this is pretty interesting. Here you can see we had a inverse head and shoulders pattern forming here. Something like this with a neckline right there. You can see we did have a move out of here, but once we got to the Ichimoku cloud and had the bearish engulfing candle here, you can also see if I turn on the volume, we did have a spike in volume compared to the weak move that we had out of here. But you can see here that the Ichimoku cloud did push this thing further down, and we have been testing it ever since. And it also pushed us below the EMA ribbon here. We also have to take in consideration how big this Ichimoku cloud was at the time of testing this. We definitely didn't have a great chance of breaking this to the upside, especially considering how weak the retest of this neckline was. So it's pretty much a given that we're going to start crumbling again, especially considering that the SPY started tanking as well. But really, to sum things up here, the best hope we have for this at this point is a potential bullish divergence on the daily chart. You can come down here and say wick maybe to $16,000 and suck back up above the 2618 here, potentially forming again bullish RSI divergence on the daily. We could have a at least relief rally coming here, whether it be a relief rally or the bottom, we'll just have to see. You see the hash ribbons are still printing capitulation, so this technically isn't over yet until we see a buy signal, as you can see back here. But really, if you break the 2618 to the downside, we could probably expect a move to at least the $13,000 level at this previous high here. If we can't hold this previous high, we could very well move all the way down to the 3618 at 11K. And it could be just a wick down to the 3618 here, and then we close back above 13K. If we can do something like this with a V recovery, this could very well set the bottom for Bitcoin, and we can move out of here. And I'll be getting updates on altcoins still here and there, but probably not as much as usual. Again, because if we are going into a recession here and Bitcoin starts to crumble, a lot of these altcoins might not even be around. So if you enjoyed this video, go and hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, go and do so. If you'd like to join the Discord, it is posted in the link in the description below. As always, it's not financial advice. I'll see you in the next one.